Hi, Magdalene. Okay. Um, just trying to find this. Hi, I'm Father Anthony Hannon. This is To Prepare His Way. I'm coming from Ontario, Canada, the province of Ontario. And in this live stream, I'd like to just put my 2 cents worth in about the provincial election that we had yesterday. So I hope the quality is going to be okay. Um, the internet is not very fast here. John, Prayers for Ontario is a bit disappointed with the majority and no new Blue or Ontario Party members. You'd think people would learn. Yeah. So what did I entitle this video? Ontario votes for more mandates. Okay. So for those of you who maybe are unfamiliar, um, we had an election yesterday. There were, I would say, three pro-freedom parties, and the four major parties. So the Progressive Conservative, the um, Liberal, the New Democratic Party, and the Greens are all for more government, and they're lock and step with the globalist elites, as most who watch these videos are well aware of. So in my riding, I was backing the Ontario Party candidate, and there was also in our riding the Populist Party of Ontario, which is a new party that had a Freedom candidate running, and there was also a new Blue candidate running. Anyway, I'll talk about my riding in just a minute. I just want to go through what's what. So let me just make sure I'm gonna get these numbers right. 10, 41, 124 ridings, 124 seats for members of provincial parliament, we call it. And the Progressive Conservative, and I would emphasize on the progressive, so they're not social conservatives. They won the majority government, a very commanding majority government with 83 of 124 seats that they won. The New Democratic, now that was for the Progressive Conservatives, the PCs we call them. That was an increase of 7 seats. The New Democratic Party, they elected 31 members of provincial parliament, MPPs, we call them. That was a decrease of 9 for them. The Liberal Party elected 8, which is actually an increase of 1 seat. Previously, they had run 2 consecutive governments, the Liberals, and so they just became immensely unpopular. The Green elected one seat, which is no change, and which I'll comment in a minute. There was an independent who won a seat, so I'll explain the circumstances for that riding. Overall, this is not good news. If any of those four top parties got elected, which in this case the PC did, that means more mandates. That's what it means. It means more lockdowns, more government control. I should actually read out the promises of what we can expect for the PC party. Wonder if I can find that. PC Ontario. Elections are decided, John says, by who counts the votes. Unfortunately, elections have been gone for 100 years. Yeah, maybe. Let's get it done. That was their slogan. Well, they certainly got it done in terms of winning the election. See if we got any policies up here. Nope, no policies. Okay, just give me a sad that the new parties. Laura says I gotta switch back to the video. I'll find it. To read the live chats, I have to go somewhere else here. Oh, it's Kia Chris that said elections are decided by who counts the votes. I mean, look, we do have safeguards here in Ontario with scrutineers and whatnot. I think the elections are fairly secure, except that we did have a lot of advanced polling, so I'm not sure how that plays into it. I think and some mail-in ballots. Just give me. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get a pamphlet to see if I can read what is in store for Ontarians. Okay, I couldn't find the pamphlet. Is it up here? Anyway, they were vague promises. One of the promises, though, was for our riding was reliable internet. So maybe I'll get faster internet, but we know that it's actually of this new technology that most of us don't want. So that's what's coming around, and I remember some of the other promises. Can't find that pamphlet. This is a terrible live stream, I think, in terms of quality. Let's see what the live chat is saying. I have to change that from top chat to live chat so I see everybody's. Right. So Kia Chris, Klaus Schwab himself bragged about putting Trudeau into power. Yeah, of course we're talking provincial this election, not federal. We're all running owned by the WF. Yeah, Laura says sad that the new parties didn't do better, but not surprised given the media blackout. There are no parties. Okay, so anyway, I'm not probably going to comment on all the live chat, but feel free to discuss things with one another. Okay, back to. I'll try to see if I can do this so I can see the live chat. Okay. Okay, anyway, unfortunately, Doug Ford, he's the leader of the Progressive Conservative Party. He's the premier. We call him the premier. In Quebec, they call him the prime minister, right? So they're all members. We could say he's the first of the, because the leader of the party that wins the most seats becomes the premier. And he's been the typical leader around the political leader around the world. He's been locking people down and closing businesses, mandating the outward sign of submission, government control, the whole elitist agenda. He's been just going along with it, so Ontarians had an opportunity to send a message that we're not happy with that we don't want that, but unfortunately, they gave him a bigger majority than they had last time. So he just got affirmed that he's not going to be, there's not going to be any negative consequences for locking down businesses and being acting tyrannically. That's it. So we can expect more. I don't know how soon it's going to happen. The last 2 months, because of the upcoming election, things have been relaxed here. They lifted all the mask mandates across the province. Yet, tons of people are. The closer you get to the bigger cities, the more there are people wearing masks, and that's really sad. Around here, it's not very much. There is a little bit, but as some of you might have seen at the all candidates meetings, there are a lot of people wearing masks. I think most of them were staffers or volunteers for the various candidates. As a matter of fact, most of Joe's citizens ended up supporting the Ontario Party candidate. Yeah, I was closer to Ottawa yesterday. I was in Carleton Place for a while, and really shocked to see so many people still wearing masks. So, yeah, pretty soon. I don't know when. Might be a matter of days. Might be a matter of weeks. Maybe they'll wait till the fall. But we're going to get more heavy-handedness from the government. Might be under the guise of monkeypox, whatever. We know it's an agenda. You and I know it's an agenda. It has nothing to do with health or circumstances. I keep hearing people say, "Oh, COVID did this. COVID destroyed businesses. COVID did this." No. COVID didn't do it. The governments did it, and that's the truth, eh? And then what did Doug Ford do? He decided to have license renewed, vehicle license renewals be no charge from now on. No more license stickers. So I don't know what that saves, $120 a year or something. And everyone in Ontario got a refund for paying their license sticker. So that was the little goodies that he threw, the little bones that he threw to the people. And yeah, I guess people forgot. how awful the last 2.5 years have been. So anyway, I would like to look on the bright side of a few things. And so I want to look at, some silver linings, I guess. And I'll start with my writing. So, the Progressive Conservative candidate, his name is John Jordan, he received 50.2% of the votes of those who voted. I don't know what the voter turnout was. That's only 77 of 90 polls. So not all the polls have been counted yet. So these are not final numbers, but they'd be probably a close estimation in terms of percentage-wise. The New Democratic Party, Drew Compson, he got 20.6% of the vote. The Liberal candidate, Amanda Polker-Mock, got 15.9%. The Green Party candidate, Marlene Spruitt, got 6.8% of the vote. The Ontario Party candidate, Thomas Mulder, 3.6%. New Blue candidate, Marcin Lewandowski, 1.7%. Populist Party of Ontario, Chelsea Hillier, that's a daughter of Randy Hillier, she got 0.7%. And an independent, Craig Timothy Massey Rogers, got 0.5%. At the all candidates meeting, the Progressive Conservative candidate did not show up. The New Blue candidate did not show up. So apparently they had COVID. So that tells you all you have to know. That tells you all you have to know right there. They had COVID, so they didn't show up to the meetings. So how did you know you got COVID? Were you asymptomatic? Why did you get tested? Obviously, they believe. They're believers in the all-powerful COVID, the all-present. Yeah, the new God, the new God. Okay, so so this riding, what has been voting conservative or progressive conservative for a long time. It's definitely a stronghold riding. Our former member of provincial parliament, I think, was a great man, or is a great man, and I think he served us very well in Randy Hillier. And of course, at the last election, he was elected in under the Progressive Conservative banner. But because he is a man of integrity and spoke against his own government's measures, and this was before the COVID measures. So he dared criticize his own government. He was kicked out of caucus, kicked out of the party. That's what that means. So he sat as an independent for, I don't know, 3/4 of his term, 3 of the last 4 years, I think. And so the PCs, they take this riding for granted that they're going to win. And the last 2 days, I received, I think, 5 robocalls from the John Jordan Progressive Conservative campaign. It was John Jordan's tape recording, just telling people to get out and vote. And I found that very annoying. Not that it's not a good message, but it's like, why does he send a I guess that's the type of representation we're going to get here. It's going to be RoboCop type of representation. I'm sorry, I'm sounding kind of negative here, but who knows? John Jordan, who are you? You never came to the all candidates meeting, so who are you? Here's what I want to say is the good news of this, okay? The Ontario Party candidate, Thomas Mulder, good man. The New Blue candidate, Marcin Lewandowski, don't know if he's a good man or not, never met him. Chelsea Hillier, good woman, met her, very smart, very impressive candidate. with the Populist Party of Canada. They totaled 3.6, 4.3. They totaled wait a second, 4.65. They totaled 6% of those who voted in this riding. So 6%, that's close to 1 in 16. 1 in 16 to 1 in 17 voters voted for freedom. Because anyone who voted for the Ontario Party, the New Blue Party, and the Populist Party are dead set against all the lockdowns. They're awake, they can see what's going on. So, you know, there's a bunch of neighbors around here. They've got their lawn signs on with Thomas Mulder, and I'm going to go and visit them and making new friends, like-minded people. So to me, that's a little bit of a silver lining. It doesn't sound as bad. 6%. Well, 1 in 16. You know, every 16 people I can make new friends with. Not that I can't be friends with the others, but you know, they don't have a problem with the government dictating how they live, and they've obviously bought the narrative from the mainstream media. Okay, now I wanted to go to the independent win. Okay, that's a very interesting situation there. How come I'm not getting anywhere here? Okay, it's the riding of Haldimand Norfolk, which is a southwestern Ontario riding, and an independent one there. That had been a progressive conservative seat, but the member of provincial parliament, and I'll get his name. A second here. I think I'll get it. I'll search. Anyway, the winner is the independent Bobby Ann Brady. Bobbinann with no E and Brady. I'm just going to search her name for a second. Okay, so the outgoing member MPP for Haldimand Norfolk was Toby Barrett, and Toby Barrett retired. He's, I think, 76 years old or something like this, and Bobby Ann Brady was his executive assistant. That's the story there. And Ken Hewitt, or Hewitt, Hewitt, he ran under the Progressive Conservative banner in that riding. Bobby Ann Brady, the independent, won 35% of the vote. Ken Hewitt won 30.5% of the vote. So that's a significant margin. Now, Ken Hewitt was the former mayor of, okay, look up what, of Norfolk, I think. I don't know. I'll find that. You can tell I'm an amateur at this compared to most live streams that you're going to watch. He was the mayor of Haldimand County. Was or is. I don't know. But here's the deal. Here's what happened there. Toby Barrett retired. Told everyone he's going to retire. This was it. And what happened was, I got to fix these live chats on here so I can see everything. Toby Barrett, you know, told the Conservative Party that he was retiring, So they had like 4 years to find who's going to be the candidate. You know, the riding associations, grassroots, that's the way it's supposed to happen. But what happened was that Doug Ford, the premier, he parachuted in Ken Hewitt. He nominated him without the process. See? Now, I don't know if Ken Hewitt has some problems, you know, in terms unpopularity as the mayor or not. Probably does, like most mayors, because they've been involved in all the lockdowns and everything. But everyone knows, or everyone should know, that an executive assistant does, you know, the, you know, he or she knows all, you know, all the ins and outs, right? And and so because it was a top-down decision on who's the candidate for the PCs in that riding, and because Bobby Ann Brady, you know, very well known and very well liked and known as competent and honest, was campaigning on local issues and grassroots things, she won. But this is also very interesting because the Ontario Party candidate and the New Blue candidate and Freedom Party of Canada. I'm not sure if Freedom. I'm guessing Freedom Party of Canada is also against all of the lockdowns and everything. But just if we take Ontario Party and New Blue Party, here's the thing: Bobby Ann Brady had 15,921 votes. This is 62 of 62 polls. These are the final numbers. 15,921. Ken Hewitt had 13,851. So what's that? That's a difference of 2,070. 2,070. The Ontario Party candidate, Sheldon Simpson, got 2,353 votes. The New Blue Party got 1,454 votes. That means the freedom loving voters, they made the difference for Bobby Ann Brady. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And that should be a wake up for the PCs. Yeah, sure, we're a minority, but we need to be listened to. So that's a little bit of good news on that front, and that's the story there. So I looked up Bobby Ann Brady's you know, website, and there's nothing indicating there to me that she's particularly against the lockdowns or anything. I mean, maybe there is. I didn't take time to dig deep on it, but there was nothing in her platform that was saying anything like that. She was. It's a rural riding. I think it's a lot of agricultural, and she knows the local issues, so that was what she was campaigning on. But I'm happy to say that the Freedom candidates were the ones who took the votes away, we could say, from the PC candidate. If the PC candidate had those votes, then he would have won. Ken Hewitt would have won. So, okay. So let me go back to the live chat there, because I did see some, and I think Ray Cleveland said, "Father, fill us with hope." So I do want to do that. I do want to bring a positive message. Okay, so Kia Chris is just saying, sorry to be a Debbie Downer. Look, it's a tough day. I don't know, Kia Chris, if you're in Ontario or not, but I think a lot of the viewers of this channel do see the evils in this world. Laura says, sad to see Belinda Caraholius defeated. She was a real fighter. She stood strong against critical race theory in our schools. Yep. I'm starting to think, and this is going to really sound bad, but I'm starting to think that maybe there should be an IQ test before you can vote. That sounds bad. It's very undemocratic of me. But I mean, look, here's the thing. The big parties, right? The parties have been around for a long time, and that includes the Green Party, okay? But who are tiny. But they've been around for a long time. They've been at this political game for a while. And I think for a lot of them it is a game. And I think for a lot of people they treat it like a sport. They treat it as though they're betting who's going to win, and they vote for the one they think is going to win. Why are you doing that? Don't do that. Vote for the best candidate and the best policies. But I think a lot of people are not very politically astute, and so what happens is, that all the all the big parties, they've got their list of names. They've got all these people, and they phone them up whenever there's an election, and they ask if they're going to volunteer, ask if they're going to get their vote, and then they call them up, and then they have all these volunteers to pick them up. Do you have trouble voting? We'll pick you up. Oh no, they and they make sure that no stone is unturned. And so, voter turnout for the province was something like 45%. And the last election was something like 57%. And they say 57% was not a high turnout, but it was a higher turnout because they wanted the Liberals out. But 45%, to me, that's an indication that I was hoping that the ones with a lower voter turnout, it would have been a good sign for the Freedom candidates. But and yes, in Ontario we're really blessed because both the Ontario Party and the the New Blue Party, Ontario Party and New Blue Party were officially pro-life. So there was no excuses for Catholics not to vote Ontario Party or New Blue Party. Um, but yeah, I thought that would work to our advantage because it'd be only people who are really paying attention to the politics that would vote. But anyway, this is what happens. The Conservative, Liberal, and NDP, they have their phone lists. They go through them, and they do everything they can to make sure that people get out and vote. And the smaller parties, they don't have that list to call people. It's much more an uphill battle. Laura says Doug Ford's no conservative. He is Trudeau's little puppet. Yeah, I don't know whose little puppet he is, but he's pretty sad. I don't know how things are happening. One of the simplest explanation, and I got this from Gonzalo Lira. He wasn't talking about Canada per se, but he says, look, the elitists, it's like a high school clique. That's what it is. That's their crowd. Those are their friends. I mean, it's not rocket science. Take a look at all the political leaders around the world. They're not geniuses. They're not that great. They are puppets. Have been chosen for this, that, or the other reason, because they think they're electable or something. But they this is their peer group. They just go along with the crowd. And is the WAF trying to direct it? Yeah, I think no doubt about it. Is Bill Gates involved? Yeah, no doubt about it. But for a lot of them, like Trudeau and Ford, I just don't think they're that smart. I don't think Doug Ford is very smart. He's not a very good actor either. But he did say that any politician who goes against the directives of a public health official might as well tie a noose around his neck and throw himself off the bridge. That's what he said, something to that effect. So it's pretty sad. Andrew Costenda says there's probably a lot of cheating going on in elections just as here in the U.S. Yeah, I think it's different in Canada than in the U.S. But there was kind of a uh, electronic aspect to the voting, and I see our ballots are hand counted here. and there's scrutineers looking over the shoulder of those who are counting. And it's not a huge populations, at least in the rural areas. So I don't think that um, it's not quite the same as was it Dominion counting machines or something. It's not like that. But what we did was, when I voted here at my polling station, is I go and I mark my X, and then I go back with the folder, and there's a folder over another sheet, and they put it in a machine, and the machine scans it. Now I don't know if that's when the vote gets counted or not, but it does. What it does do is, if there was a mistake on it, so say more than one candidate was marked with an X, then it rejects it, and it says, "Oh, there's something wrong with it. It's rejected." And they would not then insert that wouldn't count, and then the voter would be given another ballot so they could fill it out right. But basically, so like I heard on the radio last night, one person who witnessed this at their polling station, someone brought it over, voter brought it over, they stuck it to the machine, it rejected it, and he says, "There's a rejection, we'll give you another ballot so you can do it again." And the guy was, got irate and said, I don't want another ballot. I'm voting for none of these, expletive. Okay. So he probably wrote something on it. Like I've done that. I've done that before at different elections. I put no pro-life candidate or something like that. So I would reject the vote. But the only way to do that now, because of those machines, is to, when you get the ballot, hand it back to the person who gave it to you, and say, "I want my vote. I want it recorded that I'm not voting for anybody. There's a protest." But they can't do that with these machines. So, but we do have advanced polling, and I think I think there's a chance for fraud there. We do have, you do have to show ID. I don't know if it's photo ID or not, but you're supposed to show ID with your address on it to prove. And there is some mail-in ballots. So I think those are opportunities for cheating. I think bottom line is, in our system, what's really going on is what I just explained. The big parties have an advantage because they've got all these phone lists, and they phone people up, and people who are undecided or apathetic, they kind of get a little bit of a push to go ahead and vote, and to vote for the party that they've always voted. And because most people are not very they're not very politically astute. I was talking to someone who was volunteering for the New Blue candidate in Ottawa Centre, and she was telling me, going door to door, that people have no idea. Most people have no idea of what's actually going on, including with regards to all these mandates and everything. They've just bought the narrative, and they've never heard of the Pfizer report, for example, or anything like that. And the Pfizer asked that it be hidden for 75 years, and now it's coming out, and all the facts are coming out. Yowie says, "Looks like everyone is given a father a like. If not, here's your chance." Also, donations for ministry be given at nviampatches.org. Yes, that's true. Credit card, nviampatches.org. This is a retreat center. I don't get a salary. I'm a beggar for the retreat center. Kia Chris always gets a like upon it. Yeah, that's always fun whenever I sign on or I publish a video. It's you get like a couple thumbs up before anyone's even watched it. So God bless you. I really appreciate your trust in me. As long as we, Sharon McGonigal says, as long as we continue to allow the killing of the unborn and promoting death, refusing to repent, we can expect as such we ask for. Well, there is a truth, a truism, I guess, in a sense, that politics is downstream from culture. So if we are living in the midst of a culture of death, and popular opinion, that's what we get. So, yep. Hope you're all. Good morning or afternoon. Guess there from Ah, from BC, British Columbia. Thank you very much, BA. Oh, Father fills us with hope. Ray, I thought you were saying, Father, fill us with hope. Well, I want to fill you with hope by the grace of God. BA, big government is dangerous in history. Mandate freedom. Indeed, Canada needs an independent judiciary. The only Commonwealth country not to have this, meaning political judiciary, and therefore can legislate politically the law, not for the people. Yeah, there is judicial activism here in Canada. Okay, so AM Toto says no hand counting this time. Dominion machines were used. I saw with my own eyes. Was that what I was talking about, AM Toto? Is that machine that took the ballot? Was that a Dominion voting machine? I didn't look to see if I could see any, you know, brand name on the machine or anything. I thought that was basically just to check whether it's going to, um, you know, if it's you know, spoiled ballot or something. BA 1.2 billion given to CBS from government. I think he or she means CBC, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, to play out the narrative. Media is a tool as it needs to be funded by base audience, not government. Yeah, and here's about the mainstream media, including local papers, including the local paper here, the weekly paper that gets delivered to every household. Even if they don't get a you know, a grant, a gift from the government. So in Canada, the federal government gave $595 million to their approved media sites, okay? So which wouldn't include something like Rebel News or True North, you know, who are more independent. No, only the ones that well, are instruments, are their mouthpieces, right? So there's not only the handouts, the $595 million, and the fact that Canadian Broadcasting Corporation $1.2 billion is taxpayer funded completely. They also get advertising. So 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 like the local newspaper here, does he get a grant? Did he get a grant from Trudeau? I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. Did he get handouts like anybody else in terms of anyone who wants to apply for hardship over the lockdowns? Yeah, I don't know, probably could have. But what he was getting was advertisements from the from the federal government, the Ontario government pushing, you know, all the injections and all of that. You know, imagine if you're getting a full page ad, if you're a newspaper, a local newspaper, a small newspaper, whatever, small or big, doesn't matter. And you're getting a full page ad from a car dealership, you know? And then someone writes a letter to the editor and says, yeah, that car dealership ripped me off. They're a bunch of crooks. Do you think that letter to the editor is going to be printed? No way. Not if the car dealership's giving them weekly or daily ads of full page ads, you know? No way. So it's the same thing. That's another way of bribe that the government does. And you know, the Ontario Party, um, you know, they said they wanted to stop. No, oh no, who's to saying it? Not the interpreter. Robin Robin Baber, who's the one of the candidates for the leadership of the Conservative Party of Canada. That's what he's. I think I heard a interview with him saying that. Okay, so AM Total says yes. I asked, and the poll worker told me to look for myself, and the Dominion sticker was on the side. Well, there you go. There you go. Okay. Okay, so what are we gonna do? Um, well, you know, a lot of my counsel. This is I'm acting, you know, not as a kind of a citizen analyst of things of the election, but you know, as a Catholic priest, you know, um, I still say, you know, live one day at a time. So we see the agenda, we see what's coming down the pipe, but you know, a lot can happen. We really can't predict the future. We know what their agenda is, but social engineers are not God. And they have a flawed understanding of what it means to be a human being. So if we go all the way to the the top of the pyramid with Klaus Schwab and Yuval Harari and these people, these are materialist atheists. They don't understand that free will is a faculty of the soul which is immaterial. They can't touch that. They can drug people up, right? They can manipulate people, all that, but they can try, but ultimately we do have free will. We are creatures of habit. We are predictable, but we can be unpredictable if we choose to. So there's a lot of things that can happen, and a lot more people, became awake when with the truckers convoy. A lot of people I know, they were asleep. They were just going along with everything. They went down to the truckers convoy in Ottawa, and they were like, "Wow, this is great." So more people are waking up. More facts are coming out, and I have noticed over the last few weeks, more and more people not wearing the outward sign of submission. Although it was disappointing yesterday when I was in Carleton Place to see so many still wearing it. But and I'm sure Ottawa and the big cities even worse. But so live one day at a time, eh? Live one day at a time. Live the best you can today. Live the serenity prayer. There are many things. There are many things beyond our control. So there's no, if it's beyond your control, don't get anxious about it. Just turn it over to God, right? Let go and let God. And third is remember that God loves you. God is on your side. And I really want to emphasize that. There are a lot of people whose faith have been shaken. Faith in God has been shaken over all this. Well, God is just. That means He's fair. And each and every one of us have something to repent of. I mean, well, speaking for myself, I mean, I don't know, maybe some of you are living saints, and when you examine your conscience, you're like, no, I'm a saint. That's the joke amongst priests, right? When there's no hardly anyone going to confession, they say, oh, my parish is full of saints. None of them go to confession. But yeah, no, God loves you. He is on your side. And I love that line and or that message basically in Psalm 18. With the sincere God is sincere, and with the cunning God outdoes in cunning. That's the principle that's expressed. Different translations will have it differently, but so do have hope, not only for the next life but for this life. Why not? Do your preparing. Do your preparing. Learn how to grow food. Learn how to be self-sufficient as possible. Get to know your neighbors. Do the things that we need to do, and stand up for the truth. Live in the truth. Live free. Don't be an enabler. If they do bring in the mask mandates, please, live in the truth. Here's some hope, maybe. If anyone's watching and you know Nathan, please let him know that I'm doing a live stream. He's trying to phone me. Here's something though. Tomorrow and on the 18th, my friend John Pacheco, who organized the Rosary Convoy, he is organizing another thing in Ottawa. This is from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And I think it's called the Golden Arrow. It has to do with a particular devotion with a particular private revelation. So as you know, like I'm not a big fan of private revelation saying, well, Jesus said this, so then everyone has to do it. No, private revelations are usually for the individual. And then someone says, but Jesus appeared to the person, or Mary appeared to the person and said, this is for the whole world. Okay, but that's not necessary for salvation, eh? So I just put that one little qualifier in there. You don't have to pick up this devotion if you don't want to. It's not necessary for your salvation. But there is some devotions going on tomorrow and on the 18th. So tomorrow and then 2 weeks from tomorrow, starting at 9 a.m. at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, so at the War Memorial at Wellington and Elgin Street. That's where that is. That's where that's found. If you don't know where that is, and anyway, I looked at the prayers. They all look really, really good. And the point of it is to end the tyranny. And what I really like in some of the reflections of John's, I believe they're John's reflections, is he makes the connection of, well, it has to do with the holy face of Jesus, eh? That devotion, or one of those devotions, and John does a really good job in making the connection that this really is an outward sign of submission, and I see it as sacrilegious to introduce that into our worship. And I know a lot of priests will disagree with me because they believe there is that there is a plague out there, that if people didn't wear that, they would die, or people would have died, or something like that. I think there are many of my brother priests, they think that is, by wearing that, even if they don't believe it, is somehow a comfort to people, telling them that I'm putting your safety first. I don't want to make you sick. Don't worry. I think that a lot of priests think that a lot of priests think that if someone, that's a sign of caring, and if someone is afraid to go to mass because they might, catch COVID, and they might be one of those, 0.007% of individuals who get hospitalized, go on a ventilator, and get killed over it. They're kind of saying, "Oh, don't worry, come to mass. I'm wearing a mask. Everything will be fine," which is ridiculous. But I think that's what some my brother priests think. For me, I'm in a very unique situation. I'm not in a parish. I'm not filling in parishes. I would only do that in an absolute emergency at this point. And yeah, I just find it sacrilegious to hide our face before God. So, but anyway, this devotion tomorrow, I would be shocked if there's anyone wearing a mask there tomorrow. I haven't decided if I'm going to go down or not. I've got a lot of work to do outside today. It's going to depend a bit on that. But there's over 100 priests in Ottawa. You would think that some priests would go down there for that. You don't have to go for the whole thing from 9 a.m. to 3. It is going to be live streamed as well. And before I get off in this live chat, I'll try to get you some more information. Maybe I'll type it into the chat here, and then in the comments, so that people know what's going on if you wanted to join that. And in the trucker, no, in the Rosary Convoy that he organized on the feast of St. Joseph, March 19th, I didn't go down on purpose because they were taking sides in the war in Ukraine, or there was some prayers that were indicating that. And if I could get a hold of a Russian flag and a Ukrainian flag, then you know, I think that would be, the two flags together is more of a sign of Christian love than having just the Ukraine flag. That's why at the Vespers, the Byzantine Vespers after the March for Life, I was disappointed to see the Ukrainian flag there. I don't think that's very Christian to ostracize all the Russian people, um, all the Russian Christians, we could say. Um, and a priest friend said, wouldn't it have been good if they had the Ukrainian flag and the Russian flag? Yeah, that would have been a sign that you care about um, about both sides, people on both sides, and I think that's you know. But anyway, I don't know if they're gonna have flags and stuff down there tomorrow. Probably not. Um, and it's just gonna be prayers and reparation um, for blasphemies, reparation for blasphemies, reparation for sins against the second commandment and sins against the third commandment as well. It sins against profanation of Sunday, the day that we commemorate the resurrection of Christ and the Lord's Day, and sins against communism, atheism. It's all for reparation about that. So there's something you can do if you want to do that. Of course, pray, mostly pray, for yourself, and that you'll be strong enough to resist. Today, the church celebrates. I don't know if it's on the old calendar or not, but in the new calendar, it's Saint Charles Lwanga and companions. These are the Ugandan martyrs, going back to the late 19th century, 1885 or something like that. And Charles and his companions were pages in the royal court, and the king, who's I think was Mwanga, I think, and maybe his chancellor or something like that. They were homosexuals basically, and Charles encouraged all the pages to not comply, and Charles actually was doing some reading. Charles baptized many of the pages, although he himself wasn't baptized until the night before, the day before, night before that he was murdered. So, and he was murdered by fire, and he assisted in getting the sticks. I think that maybe Saint Charles Lwanga should be a patron. I think he's patron of youth in Catholic Action in Uganda, but I think he should be a patron of seminarians. What do you think? But patron for our time, patron for everyone who works for the government, to resist, to say no, not only to those despicable things that they were told that they had to do, but also anything that is immoral. For St. Charles Lwanga, pray for policemen who ought to disobey immoral orders, for government workers, for anyone who's working for anyone actually, and is told to do something that is against their conscience, for healthcare workers, for nurses, nurses here in Ontario who are told to participate in abortions or euthanasia or assisted suicide, that they'll say, no, I'm not doing that. And perhaps we'll find out that it's through the intercession of St. Charles Lwanga that so many people have been able to resist the experimental injections and have lost their jobs for it. Hearing, they haven't lost their lives although some have, for in a kind of indirect way. But they've lost their jobs. They had, in some sense, they share in that courage and witness of St. Charles Lwanga and companions for refusing to be coerced into doing something that is wrong. Okay, I'm gonna look at the live chats one more time, and then I've got to get outside and do some work. Okay, so John Boy Sr. Left a message, but then had second thoughts, so retracted it. But he left another message earlier. Then Kathy, I think, was responding to him. A good follow, I think she probably means a good fellow on Canadian gun laws and updates is Ian Runkle of the Bailey, criminal defense attorney. Yeah, as many of you know, Justin Trudeau has announced that he wants to ban all new sales of handguns. And I guess this is, piling on, virtue signaling for what happened, the tragedy happened in Texas school there last week. It's not the answer. Look at drug use. I think that would be probably a good drug use and mental health issues. I think that'd probably be probably a more appropriate place to start. I I wish there was more free or less restrictions on guns here in Ontario, because I believe that more people are good than bad. AM total. My Ontario Party candidate got 4.9% of the vote. The neighboring candidate almost 7%. That's very good for a new party and new candidates. This is a long game. Don't be discouraged. That's right. That's right. As a matter of fact, I actually had the opportunity last night to go to the Derek Sloan election watching or whatever. But as it was, I hadn't offered the mass yet, and so there's an intention for the mass, so I had to offer the mass, and then it was going to be too late. So, but my message to the group that was there was, once we realized, well, after mass, I found out that Conservatives were going to win a bigger majority than they had last time. My message was, stay strong. I said, stay strong, and then the woman I was communicating with, she said, that's what Derek Sloan just said, stay strong. And then I said, remember that it's the narrow path that leads to life. So don't be discouraged because we're not in the majority of the voters. The truth and freedom and eternal life, salvation, is not about the majority opinion. Take the narrow road. So John Bay says, so now I hear they're going to take your guns away. Yeah, so there's good. I find Yahweh says, I was finally able to go into a Kaiser clinic in California and not wear a mask. The pharmacist tried to insist, and I asked her, what? Monkeypox is airborne? Monkeypox is airborne. That's right. Oh, boy. Yeah, well, I mean, apparently, the only people need to be worried about monkeypox are active homosexuals. So, for the most part, it looks like AIDS being revisited here. And monkeypox, you get over it. It's a bunch of scabs or, marks on your skin, and you get over it in a month. So, relax. Oh, yeah, interesting. When I went in to vote yesterday, the lady at the front at the desk, she was not wearing the outward sign of submission, so nice to see her smiling face. And then she's, oh sir, would you like to use the could you please use the hand sanitizer there? And I said, no thanks, I'm not gonna do that. My hands are clean, I'm fine. And when she said, "Oh, I agree with you. I agree with you," and I talked to some others who voted the same station. They did the same thing. They refused to put that chemicals on their hands. So, some good signs. And when I went to vote, although it was sad to see so many voters going in with outward sign of submission, I think only one worker had one on. So. Kathy says, "Oh man, the minute my mind wanders to worry, forgive me, please, Lord," and serenity prayer. Exactly. Exactly. Oh, serenity prayer is such a help to me. Thank you, Sheila, for watching, commenting. Bless you, Father, for your calm approach. Remember, in 1 week, the truckers made more crowdfunding, twice over 10 million, 4 times more than Trudeau's trust funding makes in a year, and we had to enact an emergencies act used only for war. Yeah. Hey, and a couple other things about that trucker convoy. You know, what was it? 3 weeks, none of us wearing masks, all of us shaking hands and hugging each other during cold season, and no one got hospitalized and died. Like, wake up, people, wake up. And Tara Leach, right? What's her name? Someone help me out. Anyway, Tamara Leach, okay? She wasn't really an organizer. What she's a Okay, this is my take on it, okay? Because I've been involved in this freedom movement. I've been involved in the in terms I've been in the loop of the two previous attempts to get a truckers convoy to go to Ottawa, which went flat. Okay, once in the fall and then once in the first week in December. They went flat. No one heard about them. No one heard about them. But then in January, and the end of January, then it took off, right? But Tamara Leach, my take on her, she's a woman with a good heart, and she started the GoFundMe page. That was it. That was it. It's like Trudeau and the others. They're jealous of her, but it wasn't even her. That was just her name. She just started the GoFundMe and decided that she was going to administer fund. I'm sure she didn't expect to raise more than a few $1,000s. That's why she just put her name on it. Just put it, go through me, and that's what happened. So she became a target of the dictators and the tyrants because she raised a lot of money. But she really just all she did was start a GoFundMe page. That's all. Change one or the other is coming, BA. What the world saw from Chilean truckers to New Zealand to Denmark, endlessly dropping, mandated the world over. Courage witnessed, and the Canadians' ethos of peaceful protesting is inspiring. Yes, thank you. And you know what's really, this is where it's like, this is the truckers convoy. I'm gonna go down a limb and I'm gonna say truckers convoy was from God. And God was there, and people were acting on the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, whether they knew that or not. I've spoken to so many individuals who, out of the blue told me they felt it in them. They had to go down. People were drawn, pulled to from their heart, from their inner core, right? To go down to the truckers convoy. They found out about it. They just had to do it almost. I mean, they didn't have to, but that's what so many people who were not involved in the freedom movement before, they went down there and they said they felt called. This is the words that even non-Catholics are telling me. They felt called to go down to the truckers convoy. And when the brutality happened by the police or mercenaries or whoever it was, they're acting as police, supposedly. When they pushed back the crowd and they were beating people, right? No one hit back. No one hit back. Nobody. Imagine that. Imagine that. Because anywhere else, when police have provoked people, they start throwing rocks at them and stuff like that. There was none of that. There might have been some bad words going back and forth, but no one hit back. If that's not if that's not God, I don't know what is. Imagine all those thousands of people showing that restraint. Shadow censoring in algorithm of truth. Speaking as the biggest move Trudeau is censoring in bills recently. Yeah, and you know what? At every level of government, they've passed all sorts of laws, or maybe not the municipal, but all sorts of laws that they're not acting on right away, but they passed it, so they can look back and say, "Oh, we're following the law. What's the law in the books in terms of censoring, in terms of quashing free speech and other rights as well." Um, Speaking of algorithms, um, this YouTube channel, because the Truckers Convoy, I went from about 3,000 subscribers up to about 5,000 subscribers. When I discovered the live streaming, a lot of people, jumped on board to watch the Truckers Convoy. So I was really grateful, and I am grateful to any of you who've stuck around because you found out about the channel because of the Truckers Convoy. But for the last a month or so, every day I'm losing subscribers, losing subscribers, losing subscribers. So I don't know if that's YouTube's work or it's just that people signed up for the truckers. This is not about the truckers, although it's freedom related. And maybe they're not Catholic or and I don't know whether you're Catholic or not. Like, welcome to the channel, right? Um, but yeah, I strongly suspect that I'm being shadow banned in some sort of way. Kathy says drug use, mental health, bingo, root causes. Is that in cities? Yes. Destroy the independent journalist. Tamara, hit job, teaching a lesson. Okay. Thanks for joining me. It was slow getting started. Um, still live in hope, still stay strong, make your connections with people. Remember that hundreds of millions of people have lived under communism in our lifetime, and this is a different type of form, different kind of look to communism, but it's essentially the same, and we'll figure out a way. We'll figure out a way to survive as well. I think a lot. Pray for people. Help people psychologically when things get really bad. It's right around the corner. They have destroyed our economies. You know their agenda to go digital currency, central bank digital currency, and digital ID, and reduce the population, control whoever's left. That's their agenda. We know it, but by the grace of God, we know that. So He's given that to us so that we can be ready, and psychologically ready as well, and do as best prepping you can to help others when they can't afford food. And let's try to move towards getting used to a little bit more of a simple diet. And out here, there's been a lot of power outages. A couple weeks ago, there was that big storm, that strange storm, the thunderstorm that came through, and I lost power here for I think it was 50 hours or something like that. 50, no, probably 54 hours. I think it was 2 days and a bit. And you know, um, that was a good wake up call for me. I finally put the generator together that I bought before Christmas, so I could keep the fridge and freezer going. And but the neighbors came together to help to see if we needed anything. That was very, very good. And but then we lost power again like the very next week, I think twice. Um, I think that may have to do with the fact that they're clearing trees. They got to turn the power off for the safety of the hydro workers. But yeah, whatever you think of that storm, whether it was um, kind of a freak of nature, act of God, or whether you think it was some evil scientists uh, playing around with the weather, with with dropping aluminum crystals or whatever the experiments they've been doing. Um, it should serve all of us as a warning, to get ready, and and to come together with neighbors to help one another. Okay, I guess that's it for today. I really need to get back, maybe just doing simple videos instead of live chat, but I hope that you enjoy the exchange a little bit. The Lord be with you. Through the intercession of St. Charles Lwanga and companions, may Almighty God bless you, protect you from all evil, and bring you to everlasting life, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Go in peace, live in the truth, because the truth sets us free. Live free.